Welcome to Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl, the podcast where I blend life, love, sex, and relationships with mental health, social issues, and history, all from my very unabashed perspective. Join me, Joe Ciceron, as we unravel the power of vulnerability, celebrate storytelling, our history, and connect with incredible individuals who have tales to share. Let's dive deep into our essence and the narratives that mold us, because in this space, we believe in the magic of authenticity and the beauty of being unapologetically you. In a world dominated by trends, clickbait, and polarizing headlines, there are still some people who don't just talk about healing, they live it, breathe it, and pour it into every corner of the community like water into cracked earth. They're not in it for the clout. They're in it for the wholeness, for justice, for home. Today's guest is one of those people. Fred Edwards Jr. is many things: a father, an artist, an activist, an advocate, a teacher, a culture bearer, just to name a few. But what strikes me the most is his heart. He's out here creating spaces that don't just ask for change, they embody it. Rooted in North Dakota, but reaching far beyond it, Fred is proof that Black brilliance blooms even in the places folks least expect it. Whether he's hosting art circles for healing, leading grassroots initiatives, or speaking truth in rooms that weren't built for us, Fred brings the kind of presence that makes people remember their power. This is more than just a conversation. It's not just an interview. It's a soul exchange. Two storytellers, two feelers, talking legacy, identity, grief, art, community, and what it really takes to stay soft while doing hard things. So pull up, press play, and lean in, because this is Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl. And of course, I'm your girl, Joe, and I am so blessed and excited to be sitting down with Fred Edwards. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you for having me. Absolutely. That's a dope intro. I might have to steal that. Change my bio up on this shit. Hold on. Let me add that in there. But yeah, it's been a long overdue. I feel like we supposed to have did this like a year.
Yeah.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
I would say.
For sure.
But I always say everything happens for a reason when it needs to happen. So I think this was perfect timing.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I'm really just excited that we have the opportunity to do this, to create this space and have these conversations. And one of the things that my listeners know that I focus in a lot on is mental health, because that is just such a huge conversation for me. And I have always made it my mission to normalize the conversations around it. So where's your heart at today?
Yeah. My heart is spread in a lot of different places. We are finishing our end of the year for our Emoja kids. So I run a nonprofit called Emoja Inc. And so we help young adults become real adults. And so the first cohort we ever had of kids was like 14 kids at the Arbors community, which is like a lower income area. And we did it for free. Like, it was our pilot program. And so some of those kids are like seniors this year.
Oh, wow.
And so the first 14 that we started with, we got 175 kids that we work with right now. The first 14 that we started with are graduating this year.
Wow.
And so we've been writing recommendation letters. We've been advocating for kids, talking with parents. We got parents who don't want their kids to travel. We got parents who don't want their kids to do anything but take care of their brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So we just navigating a lot with that. And then I would say for myself, today is April 18th, I believe. 17th. Yeah. So I love, I always call it April Aries, cause I got beef with, April Tauruses. So when you said that you did say April Taurus, so we got beef automatically. But in 2 days would be Derek's birthday. One of my best friends was unfortunately just not with us anymore, but we went to college together. We went to NDSU. He was a wrestler at NDSU. We got hit by a drunk driver together. We had a lot of memories together.
Oh, wow.
And we had kids the same exact time. Like, literally, he was like, man, you always copy of me. But he had a kid. Like, he found out he was having a kid. He FaceTimed me. The next day, I found out I was having a kid.
Wow.
And so I think grief for me has been very cyclical. It's been something that continues and continues. It doesn't actually ever go away. I always tell people it's kind of like a mist or like evaporation.
Yeah.
Like, you don't always see it. You don't always feel it, but like it makes your hair frizzy or it makes your skin.
It's right there.
Yeah. And so, for me, where my heart is, it's in a lot of different places. I think about, D3, Derek's son. I think about him a lot. I think about my dad. My father had a stroke about 2 years ago. And so I think about just like my mom being his caretaker. But for the most part, my heart is like solid. Like I feel so, I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, man, ain't it crazy when you can look in the mirror and be like, why are you smiling? Why are you happy? And it's like, well, the world is going to hell, but like, at least you feel warm though. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? At least like it's warming you up.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, especially right now we're living in such a polarizing climate, socially, politically. How do you stay grounded and all that?
Yeah, I don't think you do. I'm gonna be real. Like, I think people say they do. I think people try, but I don't think people know what being grounded truly means. Yeah. Like, we are so disconnected with nature. We're so disconnected with our families. We're so disconnected with our own values that like, there is something to be said about dysfunction and disconnection. Yeah. And I think we are the most disconnected, right? People, like you said, like we're the most polarized. And I would say, I agree with you, but I also would add on to that, like, all it takes is for somebody to have a powerful message. And a lot of us will realize that we're not very polarized, right? Like, we're not very different. A lot of us are struggling. We have the same enemy. And the enemy, I believe, is the person who wants trauma and poverty to stay. And so for me, staying grounded means like working on my poetry, working on my writing, making sure that the students that I'm working with are also working on how they feel. I wrote this piece recently. It said, grief is like a BBL. Right? And, it's funny, but it's also like grief can be real and it can be fake. Yeah. Right? Like, depending on who the person is. You don't ever really know if a person's body is their body. Right. Because it's not my business anyway. Like, I don't judge, but that's how grief is too. Right. Yeah. Like, you don't really know if a person is wearing that grief on them. You don't really know why they are hiding the grief the way that they do. And so I love that. Being grounded for me is just being honest. Like, I'm a very just honest person when it comes to how I'm feeling. Like, even in my classrooms, we do a vibe check. Like, how y'all day started out? Right, my day not good. Okay, do you want to talk about it, or did you just want us to hear it? Right. And so I think for me, being grounded is working with the youth. Poetry, writing a lot, but I do a lot of meditation. I go to the sauna, I do cold plunges. Like, I'm a bush fellow, so they pay for us to work on our health and our wellness. Wow. And so I stay grounded by doing random shit with my daughter, telling my wife, like, yeah, we finna go see Between the Blinds or whatever that podcast is that she like. But those are the things that ground me. And I would say, like, I'm not super religious, but I would say, like, God is an experience. Yeah. And I've been having a hell of an experience with God. And so it's been really cool to...
I feel that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's just been really cool. It's been really cool to know that I don't got all the right answers. I feel hella disconnected. I'm from a big dysfunctional family. And I love y'all. Y'all know I'm telling the truth, though. And so there's always that aspect of, like, I'm not grounded, but I am finding my way back to the ground.
No, I love that. So let's go back a bit. What were some of the first seeds of resistance or Black pride that were planted in you as a child that were early signs that you would be doing what you're doing today and creating change?
I never thought I would be here. What? I thought I was going to die at 16 years old. I never even knew people who made it to college. Like, when I think about my life, I be laughing when I tell people, like, I can show you pictures of me looking like a true YN. When people say, like, I was a YN, I'm like, a lot of the things that my kids that I work with now, like, embrace or they, like, champion are things that I was ashamed of growing up. Like, I grew up 3-bedroom apartment, 10 people in that thing. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up on the north side of Minneapolis, Minnesota, where police was killing you. If you wasn't getting killed by police, you was getting killed by real people. I lost 45 of my friends by the time I was 16 years old. Like, so when we talk about, like, Black pride was everything. Like, you needed to have pride in who you were because people would demonize your area, your zone or whatever. So Jason Soul went to high school with my big brother, Andrew. So Andrew, I don't know what they had at Roosevelt, what was in the air, but my brother is the Marcus Garvey that I know. Like, my brother is, like, red. Like, you can call him right now. He could tell you all the facts, all the things you need to know about Black history, all the things. But that was always in my family, deep embedded in my family. I always tell people I feel so privileged. I was in a Black neighborhood. I had Black teachers. Like, I got my ass whooped by Black teachers. Like, I didn't really see white people. I didn't have the white gaze. The white people who lived by me, damn near said nigga. Like, y'all was in Tampa. You know what I'm talking about. Like, they're very much, like, cultured. I'm not excusing what they saying, but I'm just giving an example context. Right. Like, when we met white people, I never even knew this other side. Like I never even knew Minnesota nice because I lived on the north side. Ain't nothing nice about the north side. And so when we talk about Black pride, there would be murals of Black Jesus. There would be murals of, you know, all of these different people that you should know, right? And so people talk about Rosa Parks. I grew up knowing who Claudette Colvin was. And people are like, who is that? I'm like, that's the lady who genuinely rode the bus and got kicked off. And the civil rights was like, you pregnant. We can't have you dismantle what we see, right? And so this colonized, like patriarchal thinking, make you gotta question things. So one of the biggest questions my 5th grade teacher asked me is, did you know Rosa Parks' husband had a car? Right? So you had this conversation in 5th grade. It made you think about things differently.
Yeah.
Just thinking about, I had teachers who was from the Rondo neighborhoods, their entire communities destroyed.
Yeah.
Highways being placed in there. I got people who were literally a part of like historical movements. My mom's nickname is Shorty Ruff. She's from the Caprini Green Projects of Chicago. So for me, like, I never knew anything but that. Like, I never knew to be ashamed of my Blackness. I never knew to be ashamed of like the world in which I live in, because I was super permissionless. Like, when I say permissionless, I mean like I had a flat top in 7th grade, and
wow.
like it was like honored as that, right?
Yeah.
Like I've always been able to be Black. Like I never knew anything outside of that. And so I just always feel so privileged that, and it's kind of funny how colorism works, but my dad was light skinned, right? So like he was the closest thing to white that I would have.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I always tell folks, like, moving to North Dakota, my first time ever in the state of North Dakota was my first time in class. Like I went to orientation, did class the first day I ever came to North Dakota.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? And so completely different culture shock, all the things. Like imagine telling somebody like, yeah, I don't eat pork because I grew up with all these different sects of religions, different people. And I'm telling a person I don't eat pork and they're a pig farmer. What does that mean, sir? You don't eat pork. You know what I mean? Like it just, these different guys. And so I grew up with Black Muslims. I grew up with Black Nation of Islam people that was Hebrew Israelites, like all of these Moors. Like I grew up with so many different religious Black groups that if you bleed into that Black communities, then you bleed into that Black cultures. Like I grew up, Kwanzaa was normal. Like it's normal to celebrate Kwanzaa. Like Uhuru, right? Like hearing about the African socialist movement, like this all was like normal. So to come here and I don't know if you noticed, but my freshman year at NDSU was like 2013, 2014. Tom had died. Tom Baird. There was this dude who had got murdered on our campus.
Oh, wow.
So my mom was like, come back home. Like I told you, them people gonna hang. What? You gonna get hung up there?
I would have said the same thing.
But the issue was, I had told my mom, like, who do we know that has succeeded though? Like for real. Like I'm not talking about like they got a lot of money, because I don't believe in imperialism. But I'm saying like succeeded in a way of like changing the trajectory of their family, changing the trajectory of their life. And so, yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, just coming from that stark environment to this, like, how did that change you as a person?
I would say it helped me evolve.
Yeah.
I evolved as a person because we was talking about this earlier, delivery, right? Like I'm from a place where we say like, keep it a band, like keep it real with me. Like don't hide what you got to say.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with an apostle as a father and a gangster disciple as a mother, right? So you get these two different forms of delivery, but they're both potent. And so I came up here, people was like, man, like what you said was right, but it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And I learned over time that like, it is not anybody's fault what happened to you. Like it is, I mean, it's not your fault what happened to you. It's not my fault what happened to me. I had plenty of racist things happen to me just coming here. And so I evolved as a person. Yeah. And so I got this spoken word piece where I go, let's talk about it. Yeah. Let's talk about my testimony. Let's talk about those thoughts that keep my mind in this negative terminal. I've lost 45 friends to gun violence. Let's talk about those nights. Let's talk about that pain. Are you listening? It's like, you can't hear me. You can't hear my pain. You can't make me make myself feel better. Yeah. And I learned at a young age, it was never about the cheddar. So many friends in prison because of it. And I can't even swallow my pride and write them a letter. Like, so the piece goes on about like all these racial experiences that I had and not even knowing that they were racialized. Like I thought it was normal. And so when I did my first TED talk and I'm telling people about my life, I'm like, this is normal, right? Like, this is your normal, right?
Like, you get it, right?
Like, this happens to everybody, right? And so, yeah, like that sense of Black pride, growing up, being grounded, all of those things are interconnected for sure.
That's pretty cool. Sure. What would the young version of you think of you now?
Cap. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Like, if you just even hear the way that I talked even 5 years ago, like accent strong, yeah, just cap. It wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have believed it, even if you could even have showed me like visions of certain things. Being married young, no, that would have been cap. Being focused, that would have been cap. Not living on the north side of Minneapolis, that would have been cap. Just a lot of things would have been, nah.
I know you're a father. You have a daughter. Beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
How has becoming a father changed your purpose and what you're doing?
Everything changed. I don't give a fuck about what nobody says about nothing. Like, you can say whatever you want to say. Yada, yada. Cool.
Exactly.
Yep. I'm gonna be oh yeah, you got it. Like, even if somebody want to fight me, you got it.
Oh yeah.
Big bro. Like, whatever you need, because I always tell people, you can't shame me. Like, I was popping ecstasy pills when I was 11 years old. Like, I had a real drug addiction at a young age. Oh. You can't shame me. Like, I always tell folks, like, now, my kid, I want her to be shame resilient. I want her to know what shame is, but it not come from me. It not come from my wife. It come from the community, and she got to be resilient. She got to navigate that. But yeah, having a kid, it turned real bad, because I already was a person you couldn't shame, but now you can't shame my purpose. You can't shame my vision. Like, you can't vision block me. You can't tell me that something is not possible, because I've literally seen so many things that were impossible become possible. Like, they told us to pull the plug on my dad when he had a stroke. My dad is now walking and he talking, right? They told me that I would never go to college, that I would never get a master's degree. I got a master's degree for free, right? Like, I did 2 TED Talks because I did a spoken word piece talking to somebody, and they like, wow, the world needs to see this, right? So, like, me getting a Bush Fellowship, that's $100,000 towards my future, paying for school for free. So it's so hard for people to tell me, like, things are not possible. And Eremias is a reminder that, like, I deserve to be here. Like, this is my reminder to be here. Like, yeah. I ain't trying to be morbid or nothing, but, like, this world is not really all of that to me. Like, it's not all that in a bag of chips. So she's like a reminder, like, damn, like, I want to be here now. Like, yeah. I always tell people, and they like, oh, you got to stop saying that. You can't manifest that in the world. I'm like, I'm for real. God, give me till I'm 67. I'll be all right. And now after having Eremias, I'm like 77. You know
like, can we negotiate?
Yeah. And so, yeah, having a kid, I think, just made me more sensitive, emotionally entwined. It made me realize that my family's dysfunction is not my daughter's responsibility.
Yeah.
And they don't need to like toxicate her or vice versa, right? Yeah. Like, she don't need to be uppity and like have her nose up for them, because like my baby know where we come from, and she know that it's different back home, and she know that this is not like, everything ain't always sweet. So when we go back home and some kid punch my daughter like, what the hell, Leonte? Like, I don't get hit. Like, what is happening, right? And I love that for her, because I think a lot of times we try to like produce a kid who is as resilient as we were, but they not going through what we've gone through. And so why do they need to be that hard, that tough? Yeah. Like, I think about, like, I thought I was indestructible as a kid. I would be getting slammed off of patios, like all type of stuff. And it was like, we just playing as kids, right? Just indestructible. So a lot of us. And then you got a kid that is just, I'm talking about, she could fall just from breathing too hard. So it's just humbling. Like, she's a reminder to me that the world is worth living. She's a reminder that, like, damn, you got a twin in this world. Like, you got somebody who looks like you and your lady. And she's just a reminder that, like, you got to keep your bad traits in check. Yeah. Because they have they got all your good, but they probably got all your bad too. And so I used to fight a lot. Like, I got kicked out of high school, for fighting, went to another high school where I finally met white people for real. Wow. Like, I went from Patrick Henry High School. You could Google it. Like, we probably got at least 100 people from the time I was in high school to the time I'm like graduated from college who passed away at Patrick Henry. You go to Washburn High School, culture shock. It's still a Minneapolis high school, but it was white folks there for sure. Like, it was my first time even like pondering of dating a white, like any of that. Like, I had never experienced none of that until I was about 16 years old, 15 years old.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. In your piece with North Dakota Council on the Arts, you said, I have to help myself and others heal from the historical trauma that's passed down generationally. What was your first moment of realizing that healing was the real work, not just protesting or speaking out?
I think healing is a protest. I think healing is the best protest you can have. Like, just being transparent. I had helped with the Black Lives Matter movement in Fargo, just on a historical level. Like, I care more about history than I care about people having their rights. Unfortunately, I'll be real, because I think rights are finicky, but history should be real and honest. And so one of my primary jobs was telling people the different ways that we have been betrayed throughout history and reasons why people should not trust the history that they've been taught. And so I didn't necessarily align with all of the missions of the leaders of that. And so over time, I started to recognize you can't lead and bleed at the same time. Yeah. And so I got this piece where it's like, if you don't heal from what cut you, you bleed on those who love you, and eventually you cage them in. And I truly believe, like, some of my favorite people that I idolize, like, once you finally meet them and you finally kick it with them, or you go eat dinner with them and you talk with them, you like, fuck, you really don't care about people.
Should have kept you over there.
Like, I should have stayed like a person that I liked on Instagram, because like your husband said when we first walked in, like, you meet so many people that you just disappointed. Like, and so for me, this idea of being disappointed was a waste of time. Being disappointed is a waste of time. I think we try to protect ourselves from being disappointed. And what I said was, like, I want to lean into being uncomfortable. Like, I want to lean into conversations with people who are, you know, different thinking patterns and stuff like that. And so I think there's like just this idea of giving yourself grace, but also knowing that the best activism is having rest. The best activism is having a set mind and a great mission and a great mental experience to be involved in. I think a lot of people care about the movement or multiple movements, but they are sick, like literally like sick on the inside. And so, I went through 9 months of like just burnt out. Like, I was burnt out. I had worked for a nonprofit. We was helping kids who were trafficked, who were homeless, who were on parole or probation. And time after time after time, I just kept seeing these Black kids not get the same treatment as other kids. And so I always say, sometimes your best medicine for people is the thing that helped you. And so this lady, Crystal Spring, at Washburn High School, is like, hey, Fred, I got to take your phone away, and you're going to write some poems. Oh. And I was like, lady, better get the fuck out of my face. Like, literally what I told her verbatim. She's like, oh, we got one of those. Oh. And so now I'm like, one of what? Like, what you trying to say? And I was just so bucking. I didn't even understand, like, this lady had saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And so she made us write poems about our lives, about our experiences as a social justice black box theater class. And so now I teach poetry in schools because I realized you cannot keep on having mental health seminars. You cannot keep on having Black liberation parties and all this shit and people not healed. They can't hear you. Like, they literally can't hear you if they are starving. And Tupac has this interview. It's like my favorite Tupac interview, where he's like, Michael Jackson or any Jackson have 52 rooms. Like, we should have a mandate, like, only 3 rooms. If you a millionaire, billionaire, don't matter. Like, because there's so many people who don't realize, like, we have devalued humans so much that we want them to care about a mission or care about liberation or care about this, but they not eating today. You know what I'm saying? They don't even want to get out of bed. And you like, man, you lame as hell. You ain't trying to come to the protest. Like, fuck the protest. Yeah. Like, are you okay? Are you well? And so that's where I've been focused on being well. Yeah. I've been focused on, like, stop expecting people to heal when you ain't healed. Stop expecting people to, like, go through the trauma experience and, like, what is blocking you if you ain't did that. And so I done done all type of stuff that people are like, okay. But when you lose 45 friends, you have to be intentional about healing. I didn't done the spiritual stuff when it comes to, like, talking with different people and going to different countries and learning they different medicinal practices. I done the physical stuff where it's like I'm just now working out. I'm just now starting to enjoy like sweating and different things like that. Sauna, sweat, breath work, meditation. I got a writing coach. Like I got an executive coach who helps me with just my business planning. I got a life coach. I got a husband coach. Like, how do you be a good
You got all the coaches.
You need those though. I think a lot of times our biggest downfall, our biggest failure, at least the chapter that we had here was our leaders didn't have leaders. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's pride. That's pride. And even myself at that time, I didn't have many leaders, but I had my big brothers who was like, bro, take that shit down. What is you posting about? Like, what? Like, yeah, here go the real knowledge. Wow. You know what I mean? And so, I try to meet people where they are, but I always come with two facts. It's either like we come in to heal or we come in to be real through history. Like, ain't no in between. It's like we doing both or we doing none. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I love that. I think a lot of people like really admire the version of us that is healed and doing the work. But what parts of you are you still, or traumas that you're still working on?
I think that's my favorite part about myself is half of my platform is my trauma. Yeah. Half of my platform is being honest about the fact that I'm still trying to navigate. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what it is to figure out. Yeah. And so that's why I always talk about this term of cyclical grief. And narrative justice. I think we have to give our trauma a true narrative, like a true complex narrative of like where you are and where you are not. I'm no longer in a space where I'm in a negative terminal because I've lost 45 friends. I'm now in a space of I got people to live for. And matter of fact, if I don't live for those people, the regret is going to be stronger than the survival skill. Yeah. Right. And so I'm navigating a multitude of systems. One being that I got brothers and sisters going through a lot of mental health things right now. I had a brother who I just seen for the first time in 5 years, been missing for the last 5 years, just seen him for the first time this year. You know what I mean? And what we do, smoke a black and mild, because that's what we've been doing since we was younger. You know what I mean? And so it's been so many situations like that where I'm just like, okay, this happened. Like, I need to process this. I need to see how I feel about that. And then I got situations with kids getting kicked out of school, expelled out of school, facing real charges. I got kids that I work with in prisons and different things like that. So my heart is in a lot of different places. And so when people talk about what's happening on a federal level, I could give a fuck. Like, not in a rude way, but in a way of like, my heart is so attached to what is currently happening right here that I trust and believe in the people who can do that systems work on that level. Yeah. But I think the issue becomes when people want to do every level. They want to be in every arena. They want to be at every table. And I'm like, these is Fred's tables. Art, healing, justice, narrative justice specifically. If it ain't in those tables, then I'm probably just supporting. I'm probably going to buy a ticket. I'm going to do whatever I can to let a person know, like, I love what you're doing. I might not even can show up, but I'll buy the ticket. I can't even show up, but I'm going to repost your event. And so a lot of people, like, when they get a platform like this, I feel like they start acting weird. And I'm like, now's the time to start acting real, not weird. So.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I connected with you, just because I saw what you were doing and I saw how vastly different you did it from anyone else I'd seen doing social justice work out here. And you did it with such honesty and vulnerability, which is the only way I know how to show up, you know? And so I was like, yep, I gotta talk to that guy.
So which one do you think is more important, to be honest or be vulnerable?
Vulnerable.
Okay.
And I think, I think it's really hard to be vulnerable without being honest.
Really?
I think so.
I think we lie to ourselves a lot.
I mean, you're right. I think we can also convince ourselves that, you know, a situation is what it is, or that we've got something figured out, or, so I don't know. I've never been asked that one.
That's all good.
That's something to think about, actually. But I don't know. I would assume vulnerability. But what do you think?
I think honesty is more important because honesty keeps changing over time. Like, as you grow older, your honesty changes.
Okay, like how does it change? The truth is
because
the truth.
you recognize that, like, that first partner who was very toxic to you, you had a very, very distinct toxic behavior too. And you might not even recognize that until 13 years later, where your partner is like, why is he doing this? And you're like, I'm doing this because I used to do this to protect myself from that. And it's like, oh shit. So you was being vulnerable with that person, and he was attacking this person, but was being honest, right? So I don't know. I don't think there's a right answer. So that's why I asked the question.
That's actually, that's something to think about. I think I think, what do you guys think? You should definitely let us know.
Yeah, no, for real.
That's something to debate about in the comments. How did art become part of your activism?
Yeah. So I grew up in Minneapolis. So we are like the land of unjust killings of black men. Mm-hmm. It is very normal to have black men killed in our neighborhoods. And so we have schools named after black people who were killed. Like we had it was very normal to protest. It was very normal to see activists and community work or murals that were based on like the slain members of a community. So for me growing up, art and activism kind of was the same thing. Like I never knew it to be anything different. Like we had schools like Nellie Stone Johnson, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like we had Harvest Prep Academy where mm-hmm. black women would tell you like, this was the Black Panther parties, da 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 da. Mm-hmm. And so it was like so cool, but also it was like our way of survival, right? Like I think about African Americans created things like jazz, like blues, which is literally like satire of trauma. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't know it at the time, but when you go to a Juneteenth celebration and there's a shootout at the Juneteenth celebration, like that is a microcosm of a bigger issue, mm-hmm. which is these young people are hurting, right? And they came to this place to find connection. And even though they came to this place to find connection, they needed to do what they needed to do, yeah. right? And so that sense of pride, ego, ruining art spaces and stuff like that also made activism more important, because I'll be a liar if I was like, I feel so safe doing Juneteenth events in this area, right? Like I feel so happy and just like,
you are a very brave soul, but absolutely. I think that absolutely. That is all part of the work too. Yeah, absolutely. You know?
Because you got to be permissionless. Like yeah. you have to be permissionless in this work. Like I always tell people, like I don't really owe anybody anything, but I owe a lot of people everything. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I get that. I get that because I think that when I first got into this space, I think that was always one of the questions of like, why are you doing this? Yeah. And I just felt like I have to, like, I didn't feel like it was really a choice so much as it was a purpose. It was a calling, and I would be doing myself and so many people a disservice not to lean into my skills, my art. And I always say activism looks different for everybody. Yeah. And I think we all kind of create that for ourselves. And it took me a while to find my own version, but I think that also became part of my healing journey too. Yeah. Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. I've been calling myself an artivist. It's just art and activism.
I love that. Yeah. What's the most healing piece of art you've created, and what were you going through when you made it?
I'm gonna say Eremias. Eremias was like, she's art. Like she is like, we had a portrait of her made, like a Dragon Ball Z. We really into just a lot of different things. Well, we like anime. Or at least my wife really likes it. And so I got this tattoo of like Goku on my leg, right? And we had wanted like a picture of Eremias as like a Goku looking character with this big old fro. And we didn't know what our daughter would look like. Yeah. And so one day we just like take a picture and send it to the artist who made the painting. And he goes, we like manifested that, y'all. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And so for me, I think that's art, but also, Emoja is a co-conspirator program. So it's me and Janelle Gibson. He's from Stockton, California. I'm from North Minneapolis. Yeah. We put our pain together and we put our passion together to create a program that helps. We graduate about 175 kids a year. 90% are people of minoritized background. And so that is an art endeavor that we really appreciate as well.
I love that. When people talk about you 20 years from now, what do you hope they're saying?
Damn, you know that's Fred's daughter? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the one thing I hope. I hope that my legacy allows people to no longer be in exhausting spaces. Yeah. Like, I get weary or sad a little bit when I hear folks like yourself who are so full of life, got a husband so full of life, and it's like, all right, but who are y'all connecting with, right? Where are y'all game nights? Because I know that y'all are experiencing the same thing we've experienced, where I'm like, I don't got no motherfucking babysitter. And if I do find a babysitter, I kind of just want to lay down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like just navigating these different things, I would hope that in 20 years we prioritize rest over our ability to work. Yeah. I got this spoken word piece called Negus Love Snitches. It's about like the Aramaic term Negus, which means king, and how I was blocked from watching Harry Potter growing up because it was seen as like a devil movie or whatever. Yeah. But it's this golden snitch that they need to catch in Harry Potter. Yeah. And it's like you get the most points for it. And I feel like us in society are always trying to catch this thing. And at some point, in the end of the piece, it goes, at some point we realized that the magic wasn't in the running. The magic was in the healing. Yeah. And I think that that is something that I'm hoping or seeing already in this next generation. Like when people say this generation is sensitive, I'm like, no, they have boundaries. Yeah. Right. Like I think boundary is, my ability to love you and myself at the same time. Yeah. And because people that's resistance. Yeah. So. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I hope for the next 20 years. I love that. Isolation is definitely something that I think a lot of people, especially a lot of Black people in this area do, in this community, in the Midwest probably. And for me, it has really devastated my entire mental health. Yeah. And I think it really just kind of changed the chemistry of who I am as a person, just collecting those traumas. And I've found that being in Black spaces, or even a few months ago before the holidays, just going to that little event with you and that poetry night that you were doing, and that moment meant so much to me, and it felt so healing. And I was like, no, where do I get more? Like, can you guys stay a little longer? Right, that's what I'm thinking. Just because like, it's really difficult to build that. And so what do you say to people who are out there who just feel like we just don't have access to community spaces that are built for us, where we don't always have a Fred around? Yeah, that one is hard. That one is hard because I want to be honest at all times and say, I think my biggest trigger is isolation. I know that I am not in a good place when I isolate. Yeah. And so I've asked myself repeatedly, this one question, and it's a tough question, but it's a real question. Yeah. And the question says, if you shut off the things to avoid being sad or angry or anguished or even jealous, like for me, I'd be jealous when I see people posting with their friends and shit. I'm like, that shit is just not my reality right now. Like I'm too busy, but I know other people just don't have the access. Right. And so for me, the question is like, are you okay with shutting off certain things? Because it also shuts off other things. So like, you can't shut off disappointment or like sadness without also shutting off joy and like healing. And so what I would say is like, there's three things. One is like, don't set yourself up for failure, because sometimes isolation is what you needed in order to know who you were. Yeah. And a lot of us become somebody else when we're around people. Yeah. And so that isolation is like, no, you needed that for your kids. You needed that for these different things. But the other one I would say is like, as weird as this sounds, I think more people are actually afraid of each other than they think they are. Yeah. And so it comes out as like an insecurity, or as it comes out as like these different things. And I feel like over time, that's something that either is going to get worse or it's going to get better. But I'm not really sure about that. I'll be honest. Yeah. But the last part in regards to connection, I try to have what I say is like, every 3 months a way for people to socialize. Yeah. And so if you follow me on Facebook, on social media, or any of those things, I'm always posting what other people are doing. Like Kayla Jones is doing a talk tonight on intersectionality and like feminism, right? Like I always want to plug in these different people doing things. So what I say is like, follow my page. You will see a lot of that stuff. But I always have something every 3 months in this Fargo Moorhead area. That's great. And again, what you're doing is just so amazing and just such a blessing for everyone in these areas who just have such limited access. I appreciate being appreciated, sincerely. What's next for you? In regards to life in general, what do you want to do professionally, personally? Yeah. So I'm currently getting my doctorate degree. I go to Trevecca Nazarene, Nashville, Tennessee. I'll graduate 2027 in August. I'll have a doctorate degree. So I have my doctorate before I'm 30. So that's kind of crazy, because anytime I tell people my age, they don't believe me. I hope to find more out about myself. I want to be an adjunct professor. I want to teach poetry in a college arena. I'm currently on this alumni chapter for the Change Network. So I'm trying to get more people involved like regionally with each other to do some leadership stuff. Outside of that, I think my biggest thing is just healing, like really, really focusing on like, what does my body need? What does my mind need? What does my soul need? What does my spirit need in order to be my best self? And I think a lot of times we aren't planning for that. Yeah. And so, doing all of that and then just hopefully figuring out what is next. That's been the big question. It's like, where do we want to live in 10 years? Yeah. Do we want to live in Fargo in 10 years? Do we want to live in this area in 10 years? And like, how do we prepare ourselves for that? Do we have the friendships for that? Do we have the connections for that? Because all of our family is in Minneapolis or in Mississippi or in Chicago or Arkansas. So it's like, nobody is here. And the ability to be overwhelmed or overstressed or like, just in general, like not even have time to take a shower, not even have time to like, have self-care. That isn't viable. That isn't something. That's why like when you ask that question about connection, I'm like, I don't want to lie to these people. I don't think you should go through that. I get personally. But like, I think you have to honor your mind in exhausting spaces. Like if you my homie, like this is our homies training. Yeah. And homies literally means honor our mind in exhausting spaces. Oh, wow. And so I would say like you got to find 1 to 2 people, but you got to put yourself out there. Like nobody's responsible for putting you out there. But when you find the right people, I feel like it's hard because like you want all of them now, right? Yeah. And so finding that balance is hard too. Yeah, I love that. So my very last question for you on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you right now and why? I'm going to go with a 6. I'm a solid 6. I feel very content with life. I feel like happiness is something to like reach for. Yeah. I think when I was in Rwanda, when I was in Africa, that was like the happiest my soul had ever been. Yeah. When I was eating veggies every day, you in the sun, you working out every day. I would say I was like the happiest I ever been. But it's been muggy. Like the weather's been bad. People's energy have been bad. But like life is going good for me, so it's been feeling really weird. Like that's a distance. I get that. Yeah. I feel like I'm in that kind of little season myself, where it's like life personally is pretty good, but then like there's chaos everywhere else. So it's kind of like it's very anxiety inducing. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. But and then I'm also trying to, work on like my polychromatic versus monochromatic minds. Okay. So at times I really don't mind if I'm late to something. At other times I'm like, they're going to think I'm all these different things, right? And so my mind is always like, what is more important to you though? Is it the impact, or is it the intent, or is it the looking a certain way? And so that's been a balance. Like even like cutting my hair. I was going to ask you last time I saw dreads. I was like, I know he looks different. Yeah. No, I cut my hair. I lost a bet. One of my young men, he You lost a bet? I did, yeah. Oh. I'm a man of my word to the day I die, unfortunately. Wow. We're going to have a part 2 because you got stories. I'm crying. But I got one question for you. Yes, please. Right, this is the deep question, but this is the last question I think. All right. I'm going to ask 2 questions. Freedom or fear? Ending up like your parents. Freedom or fear? Oh, freedom or fear of ending up like my parents? Fear. Okay. Your children ending up like you. Freedom or fear? Mindset, insecurities, all the things. Fear. Okay. How do we change that? You don't got to answer that now, but that's my plug and my seed for you. Oh, wow. we keep working on it. We keep paying the therapist. No, for real. But it's what I think we need. We want our community to be better than our family. Yeah. And it's like, how does that happen? Yeah. We don't really know. We got to start from the inside. We got to start from the inside out. Yeah. Right. So look at you dropping gems. Hey, they say they tried to bury a seed, but we was planting a field full of dreams. So it's like we all being planted in different ways. But thank you for allowing me on Unapologetic Podcast. I've been seeing a whole lot of the graphics and all the things. So it's been really cool to finally make it on here. Thank you so much. This was a huge honor. Definitely don't be a stranger. You got to come back. Yeah, absolutely. I said, you got stories. We got to get into those stories. Yeah.
Well, this has been another episode of Unapologetically Anxious Me with the one and only Fred Edwards. Until next time, bye.
Have a good one. Have a good one. All right.